Hey guys, it's me, Potato Mean, and you're probably wondering what the hell I'm doing here looking at this image. Well, let me tell you, friends, I actually made a banner for my YouTube channel. That is crazy, I know. And it's best viewed on, what's it called, desktop, because trust me, mobile and all devices sucks ass. Don't look at it through there. Look at it through desktop just so you can appreciate the art, even though I'm pretty sure, like, the top half of Magic Koopa or Smoothies gets cut off. Doesn't matter. Anyways, but I'm just kind of here to go through and just kind of show you what all I did and kind of explain some of it, I guess. Because, some of it doesn't really make any sense. Like, you got fantasy characters over here, you got Spider-Man, and then you got, like, these fuckers. And then it's just like, what the hell is going on? Why the fuck there's Spooderman? You know what I mean? It's just kind of a little confusing. So, it's been a bit, actually, since I've done one of these type of videos where I, like, show off a drawing, I guess, because, well, I do this all on my phone. I don't have like, a tablet to draw on, so I just have my phone. So I'm just in the Photos app right now, just showing it through here. Because if I wanted to do a speed draw of this, but then like I realized that my phone is vertical when I draw, and that's the only option, so it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't look good whatsoever. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through it, kind of talk about like what all I did and how I did it. I probably should have. Actually, wait, hold on. No, that is okay. Yeah, that's correct. I thought it was the same color as Hellspawn Sword. Okay, never mind. Alright, so we're just gonna go through this, just kind of show you all around. So here, of course, we got my character who's front and center, because, of course, he had to be, my character. He's just kind of like the face of the channel, I guess, just my profile picture online. Also, I changed my profile picture recently on YouTube to where it now looks like this. It's actually from this image, which is a remaster of this image. So, hey, how funny. Anyways, but it is very clearly based off the Knightly One's outfit, the fantasy outfit. Not the red jacket that you used to see all the time, but yeah. Of course, I do have Spooderman just kind of sitting on his shoulder, because Spooderman is, of course, my most liked post on Instagram and will probably remain that way for the rest of the time. But yeah, I do kind of have like a little bit of a disappointed face. Just, I don't know, it's the usual face I kind of give my character, especially on Instagram. But he does have a little bit of like shading, lighting and shading on the helmet and all that. And yeah, I mean, there's not like a lot to talk about. It's just a design that I've previously had before for him. So yeah. Then there's Gwen. You might remember her. She was one of the Knightly One members. Actually, all of them are here, by the way, but here's Gwen. She has the pattern on her chest and on her arms, which Russ decided to make a whole thing, because apparently, originally, it just looked a little too flat, because it was just, like, straight lines, and because I didn't really think about it like that. Like, think about the chest and how it kind of, woman anatomy. I didn't really think about it that way. But he made a video. He sent a little video in Discord. I'll probably play in like a second, but
Hey, Tato Mean, I figured out I figured it out. Okay, what you need to do is when drawing it is you see this line on the outside, right? This is great that you have there in your general shape, okay, but you need to make all the other lines conform with that shape. So that's Mommy Milker side boob, okay? Then you need the rest of the lines to kind of go with it, right? You have lines going down this way, kind of going against that shape. It disrupts the whole thing. You need it to go with it, right? So it gets if you do it this way, this is a little bit easier, because then you could really kind of mess with the shape and make it look, like it pops. But you got diagonal lines, which are a little bit tricky, but I think best way is conform it with that. Then this side, you kind of conform it with everything, and it really gets you, it kind of makes it look a little bit like Mommy Milker vibes. I'm like, whoa.
yeah. I did actually base the head. Like, I have this app. It's called Handy. It allows you to kind of get like hand positions and head positions. So I use that throughout this whole drawing for like specific characters, like Melvin's hand, and then her hand. Then anyone's hand who's here, and like along with the heads, like Chuck's head, Orga, and all them. But yeah, the eyes, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Originally, I kind of want to go with eyes that were based more along the lines of Vox Machina, if you know that one, because I do kind of like the style of that show. But then I looked at the Invincible one, like Invincible eyes, to kind of see if they look the same, and they were a little bit different, just a tiny bit. But I don't know. I'm still trying to decide on like how I want the eyes to look, like the style of eyes. But for now, this is how it looks. And granted, I do try to like I guess kind of fix some of the characters, because like some of them look good, like Zill and Orga and all them. They look good, but I feel like there's something off about Gwen's face. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because she's a generic white woman. Who knows? Anyways, but of course she does have the ears, little elf ears, and then whatever, arrows, hand, I don't know, the satchel thingy, the little cape that you can kind of see in the back. And of course, she does have shading on her, and in different places. But yeah, I probably should have made the inside of the ears a tad bit darker because it does kind of look a tiny bit weird. But meh, it's fine. She does have her arm draped over my character's shoulder because I kind of wanted to give them all like a unique-ish kind of position, just so they all have like some, just different poses, I guess. Then there's Melvin. He's just kind of off to the side because I kind of wanted to include him because I feel like he's definitely like a little bit more of the a little bit more prominent than some of the other fantasy characters that I have. I probably could have included Argon, but I don't really know, or maybe even Tolgoth. But I decided to include Melvin because I just like how he looks, and yeah, and he does have like all the tears in the costume. I probably could have dirtied it up a little bit, but I don't know. The digital art is kind of difficult with trying to get some details like that, and you'll understand in a bit when it comes to Russ. But yeah, he does also have shading on his arms and all that. For the black shading, like the darker shading, I just took black and I just kind of went over all like on top of all the layers, like all the color layers, and I just kind of like turned down the opacity once I got like how I wanted it. And I just used like a normal pen tool for that, like how I used to outline all the characters. But when it came to the actual lighting, like just the lighter parts on their arms and hands, I used an airbrush tool, which is my usual go-to when it comes to shading and doing all that. So yeah, I just kind of felt like I should use it for that because like kind of makes it a tad bit softer looking, as you can see, and I think it appears a lot better. And I feel like the darker shading needs to be a tad bit harsher. You know what I mean? But yeah, I like the way his face turned out. I feel like I probably could have like brought his head down a little bit on his neck, but I think it looks fine. I wanted his eyes to be a different color, like the whites of the eyes to be different, just so like he kind of has like more of a brownish kind of look, because he's a tree. He's a tree man. What do you expect? But yeah, there's not much else to say about him besides he has like the grass or moss, whatever it is, growing on top of his head. But yeah, here's Tato vs. Spider-Man, kind of quickly getting away from fantasy characters, I guess. I'm not gonna lie, this arm kind of turned out a tiny bit weird. It's a little short, but I don't really draw Spider-Man all that often, so I don't really draw him in this position. But yeah, I do still like the way he turned out, though. But yeah, it's just Tato vs. Spider-Man. I thought I'd include him because, that's a big project I'm still working on, actually. I'm still updating, I guess, like adding to the Spider-Man stuff, making characters from Spider-Man. And of course, the fantasy characters, same give you seven of them. I'm always adding different characters and all that. I'm actually working on one right now. I'm actually working on a few, like one physical one and then one digital one, just to like, I'm still working on figures is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, when it came to Spider-Man, it was a tad bit difficult because I kind of had to figure out like how his webbing would curve around his arm, because it does kind of like twist a little bit, I guess. But yeah, that was fairly simple. The head, pretty easy. I just used one of those heads from Handy, and it was pretty good use, you know what I mean? I probably could have toned down the blue a little bit to kind of match the blue that is on the actual Spider-Man figure, but I think it looks fine. You can kind of see a little bit of his emblem kind of poking out too. I thought that was a cool detail, along with like some of the other details like his boots. And I even gave him a webbing. I did actually kind of turn down the opacity on the webbing as well, and that is kind of to allow it to look a tad bit more transparent, kind of like how like a Lego piece would, or kind of like just kind of webbing in general. I didn't want to be pure white, you know what I mean? Kind of looks like semen now I look at it, but it's fine. But here we got Hellspawn. We all remember him. He's fairly difficult to draw in terms of like trying to get the right mass that he has, because he is meant to be slightly bulky, but not like he's meant to be lean, I guess. Not bulky, like the way he's just massive, just big. But I kind of wanted it's kind of difficult, you know what I mean? Like, he's 8 feet tall. He's meant to be bulky, but kind of leanish. You never know. But yeah, I think his head is probably the strangest part to draw, just because like trying to get his face right is kind of it's like a tad bit difficult, and I feel like I definitely could have done something different, because I don't know, there's something about it. I feel like if I ever redraw these characters, I'll probably have to like take a lot more time to kind of like make sure I got the head shape and all that. But I do have his mouth wide open, kind of screaming, I guess, and you can kind of see like the inside of it, along with like the kind of part where it opens up, and you can kind of see like the other side of the background, which the background is just paint splats, because I paint Lego figures, so thought it would make sense. Also, the reason why none of these characters are Lego figures except for Spooderman is mainly because I wanted them to actually have like a normal appearance, especially for these guys, because these guys aren't just Lego figures. OSRSers and Smoothies right here. They aren't Lego figures, they're just actual people, actual friends of mine. But yeah, Hellspawn, he does actually have the spikes, the armor and all that, I guess. He does also have like the little blade things shooting out of his back and out of his shoulder. But yeah, there's not a lot to say. He does have his sword, actually. And originally he did have his hand, but Melvin's head kind of covered it up. So yeah. Also, yeah, he does have the scarred eye. I thought that was a neat little detail to mention. Anyways, moving on, we got Chuck. He's just kind of like sitting on top of my character's head because he's a gnome, so he's like really small. But my friend Russ pointed out that like there has to be a lot of strain on my character's neck if that's the case, because like, even if he's a gnome and he's really short, he still weighs like quite a bit. But I don't really think much of it. I don't know. Maybe my character has a strong head. Who the hell knows? I don't know. Anyways, but he does have the one armored arm, along with like a little bit of an elbow pad kind of right there, and separation between the forearm and the bicep. He does have his hand. Obviously, he's not like my character. You can kind of see like a little bit of his leg kind of poking out right there, and even his foot kind of right there. His foot is also right there. I kind of almost forgot this one for a second, but then I had to like go back and redraw it. Or was it that one? I don't remember. He does also have his purple clothes kind of just popping out like the little underclothing, I guess. And he's kind of meant to be like, his head is angled slightly down, but he's looking up. So he's kind of meant to look like that. And drawing a frontwards facing nose is a tad bit difficult. I think that's like the one part I probably could have changed. Also, maybe I could have gotten rid of those little wrinkles above his eyes, but who the hell knows? I don't know. He does have his little haircut, his mullet from the Seinfeld hairpiece. I just kind of base it around that, just like the actual figure. But yeah, there's not much else to talk about. He's just kind of smiling and waving, smile and wave, boys. But yeah, here's Smoothies. This isn't the first time I've actually drawn him, so I kind of already had a general idea of how I wanted to go. So I basically just, like, I've done a drawing of him before. Here's the picture. There's a whole context behind it. I'm not going to explain why. But Smoothies, his whole character's like a skull, but he doesn't have the bottom jaw. So yeah, but with my art style, I tend to go like a little bit more realistic leaning, but still like slightly cartoonish leaning. Of course, like it's kind of like a good in between. But with this, I just used the Handy app, and of course I used the actual skull that they have in the app, so it's pretty useful. I used it before. It's quite nice. But I did the top half and the bottom half, kind of like he's a little ghostly head, kind of just floating around, I guess, because he's got like these weird flames around his head, like he's what's his name? Ghost Rider. He also does have the straw sticking out of his head. And I gave this base, like the flame, like just a basic like flat color. And then I went over it with a airbrush tool to kind of give it a little bit of more of a glow. Make it a little bit more luminescent, I guess. And you can kind of see like where that airbrush kind of peeked in on the magenta on his skull. And it kind of gives it a nice little look. Like a nice little bluish, purplish kind of look. I like the way it looks. But yeah, of course the bottom jaw is kind of like following behind because maybe it's like a tiny bit separated because, ghost logic, I guess. But here's Orga. She's just kind of throwing her arms up because she's really happy, I guess. I forgot to fill in that part, so she just doesn't have a right arm. It looks a tiny bit weird, but meh. I also forgot her cape, but then again, you can't really see it in this drawing, so yeah. She's just kind of happy because, everybody in this picture is happy. I don't really know if Hellspawn's happy or Melvin. They don't look all that happy. Also, hey, Russ, look. He's frowning. You happy, bitch? Anyways. Sorry, that's the whole thing. But, yeah. She does have her scars, her cheekbones, her hair, and the crown thingy. And, yeah, there's not much else to say. It does have abs. I had to include those. Spooderman, he's just kind of there. I just traced over the original image that I had, like him facing forward. So he's just kind of there to sit on my shoulder. But here's Zill. I initially was going to actually do Russ, because Russ has made jokes calling her a blue baddie. I'm not joking. Like, when I was explaining the lore of this world to him, he was like, "Oh, the blue baddie." And I was like, "Oh, God." And I was like, "Oh, please, for the love of God, please stop." But, yeah. I kind of made her look a little bit more nervous, because that's just kind of how the character is. She's just a tad bit more nervous, I guess. And I was originally going to have Russ kind of like off to the side where Frail is, just kind of waving at her, and her just kind of looking away, just sad, I guess. But I did not like the way the Russ drawing was turning out, so I just completely scrapped that, and decided to put Russ on top of Frail's shoulders, which I'll get to that in a second. But this one detail I actually forgot about Zill, and that's like the silver zigzags on her, whatever that is, robes, I guess. I don't know. But I forgot that detail. Her hair, I did initially go with like an airbrush tool, but I hated it. I did not like the way it looked. It looked too basic. So I just went with like it just kind of being a streak, I guess. I don't know. Probably should have done a little bit of a better fade, but who knows. She does have her markings around her eyes and all that. Colored eyes, the tiara and all that. And she does have her staff, which I'm just going to post this very sus fucking picture or just message Russ sent when I showed him this. Because, again, he called Zill a blue baddie. He said, this is what the picture is. This is what the message... this is what he said. He said, damn, she be gripping that thing or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. But speaking of Russ, here he is. I know he looks like he's doing something really bad, but he's not, I promise, okay? He's meant to be pointing, but because I drew Russ before I drew Orga. So then when I was drawing Orga, I was like, oh shit, she's covering up his hand. Now it looks like he's saluting someone. Oh no. But I just left it as that because I kind of thought it'd be funny. Because it's, like the context is that every time Russ has played 2099 Spider-Man on my, in the Instagram bits, like in the Spider-Verse bits, Miguel was always just a racist, and Russ just never knew that I was going to have Miguel just be racist during those, because that was like the whole joke during that time, that Miguel was just hella racist, just specifically targeting Miles. But yeah. I did actually forget to color in the stones on his Infinity Gauntlet shirt, but that is just whatever. He didn't even notice, but hey, he's going to notice now that I pointed it out. He does have his sweatpants and, of course, like his sweatshirt, his jacket, whatever it is. And we got Frail, who's kind of like struggling to keep him up a little bit. I was going to have his arms kind of coming around, grabbing his knees, but then I forgot to do that, and then I continued the drawing, and then I just kind of didn't care at that point. This took me like 3 days to make, okay? This took me a while. Then Russ, he's got like his mask, he's got it all like scuffed up. Originally, I did want to give him eyes, but I hated the way that looked because it just looked so weird. So I just got rid of those and gave him the white eyes. And the reason why I'm including like Russ in this drawing is mainly because he actually redrew a lot of the characters. He redrew the thumbnail of my fantasy showcase. He redrew my character, Orga, Hellspawn, just about everybody, except for like Zill, Chuck, and Gwen. He didn't redraw those guys except for like the thumbnail, but as separate drawings, I guess. Whatever. But yeah, I included him because of that. I included Frail because he's just like a close friend of mine, and because he does a lot of voice acting for me, especially with Miles. And he's also just kind of been a part of the Fundamental podcast, which, speaking of which, if you guys are even remember that podcast, it's been like a year or something like that, 2 years. I don't know. It's been too long. But we also got Airwick. He's also referenced here as the little brick head. Then we got Nightbricks, of course, being just his body, which I kind of like to imagine that Airwick's head just kind of fell onto Nightbricks' head or something like that, and Nightbricks' head just got stuck, so he's trying to take it off. But of course, the reason why I include Smoothies as well is because he also redrew 2 of my characters. I'm not going to tell you what he exactly did in those drawings. You can just figure it out because they are in a video. The fantasy showcase, I will tell you that, but I'm not going to tell you where. You'll notice them, okay? But yeah, I just kind of wanted to make this video because I didn't really have much to make because I'm in college right now and I can't really make videos all that often. Hell, I can barely even work on customs except for like the weekends, which I'm currently recording this on a Friday, so I'm actually at home right now. Oh god. Whew. Excuse me. But yeah, that's basically it for the drawing. This took me a while to make, and it's actually really special to me because I think this portrays like a lot and like what I wanted to do for the channel banner. But yeah, I do kind of want to redraw these characters one day, the fantasy characters, and kind of like get better depictions of them, like full bodies and all that. I think Hellspawn's head is fine for the most part. I just think like something about it. I don't know what it is. I think it's fine. But yeah, I just want to redraw these characters one day, the fantasy characters. And, get better versions of them, kind of like figure out the style of the eyes, maybe just the style of the faces as a whole. But yeah, that's about it for the video, I guess, just kind of showing off this banner. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.